welcome to another episode of Hope and Homeschool. I'm Lindsay, if we've never met, and I'm a homeschool mom of 3. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of classical conversation. Before we get started, just a disclaimer, okay? I am in no way paid or sponsored by Classical Conversations. If you came here looking for a rah-rah Classical Conversations video, this is not going to be it. Also, if you came here to find a video like bashing Classical Conversations, this is not it. This is going to be an unbiased pros and cons to Classical Conversations. I'm going to give you my honest feedback as a mom who has been using Classical Conversations for about 2.5 years now. Classical Conversations follows the classical education model. I know, shocking, right? It's called classical. But the classical education model is broken into 3 basic parts, and it follows the development schedule of a child. So there's the grammar stage, the dialectic stage, and the rhetoric stage. These are broken into 3 components in Classical Conversations. Classical Conversations breaks them into foundations, which would correlate with the grammar stage, essentials, which would correlate with the dialectic stage, and challenge, which correlates with the rhetoric stage. Foundations is more elementary school, essentials is more middle school, and challenge is going to be considered like your high school years. So right now, the only experience that we really have when it comes to Classical Conversations is with foundations, because our highest grade level that we teach is 2nd grade. Now, if you are a mom who maybe has a kid going to essentials or challenge, I would ask that you please watch this video, because I would love some feedback from you actually as to what we can expect in the future. Now, the foundations component of Classical Conversations is a lot of memorization work. So once a week, there is a community day where everybody gets together, and then a mom is a tutor, and she is teaching, the new grammar, so all of the new memory work. Then there's usually 30 minutes of art. There's usually 30 minutes of science. Some days we do music. The kids also do a presentation every single week. So they have, the younger kids, it's maybe more like show and tell. But as they get older, like our 2nd grader, we actually have her present on a certain topic. So it gets them comfortable with public speaking. And then they do review and things like that. And then a lot of times we'll all have lunch together, and then the kids can just play. So that's an overview of what foundations looks like. Essentials, they meet in the afternoon, and challenge, they meet all day on community day. So if you are thinking about doing Classical Conversations, I would highly recommend go to one of their informational meetings. And I highly, highly recommend attend a parent practicum. It's so important to see the overall picture and to get some community built with the other moms, so that you don't just plop down at a community day and you're like, what the heck is going on? So there you go. There's my little tidbit of advice. Now let's get into the pros and cons. So we're going to talk about the pros first. I have 3 pros and 3 cons after 2.5 years of CC that I have found about this specific program. The number 1 pro is that you get to delegate some curriculum. What was really stressful for me when I first started homeschooling was coming up with all the curriculum. I am not one of those Pinterest moms, and I was really struggling. I felt like I was drowning in certain subjects. Classical Conversations gave me some guidelines to follow, and then we can do more or less as we see appropriate. Most homeschoolers don't like being told what to do unless it's an area that they're struggling with. Then we like to be told what to do. In this situation, I wanted to be told what to do. I actually was turned off to Classical Conversations in the beginning because I didn't want somebody to tell me what to do. And then after a while, I was like, yeah, I need somebody to tell me what to do. Number 2, if you enjoy the classical education model, it is a great rich curriculum for your children. It's super rich in history. It's super rich in geography. They learn skip counting. If you attend Parent Practicum, you kind of get to see the fruit of what happens after a child has spent their entire, school career, if you will, in the classical education model. I love seeing, seniors in high school that have had a classical education. It's really quite fascinating. And so I always think that you need to look at the fruit to decide if you want to do something that somebody else has done before you. So if the fruit is good, follow the fruit. Number 3 pro of Classical Conversations is Community Day. Now, I know when you first start homeschooling, the number one question is, what about socialization? So if this is something that you're concerned about, community day is great because your kids get to be around the same kids every single week. They build friendships, they get to play. And you as a mom, you kind of get some socialization too. There's other moms there. You might make some friends, you get out of the house. Overall, it's great. Now, the cons of classical conversations. Number one, community day. Now I know I just said community day was a pro, but community day is also the thing I hate about classical conversations. Why? Because one of the benefits of homeschooling is that you don't have to like get up and get out of your house every day. Community day is always chaos at my house. We're packing lunches. We're making sure everybody's got everything in their backpack. And then you're around a bunch of other kids all day. Can I just make a confession? I love my children. I am not the best with other people's kids. Like, I love kids. I'm not saying I don't love kids. But I am definitely an introvert, and being around all of those kids all day, y'all, those teachers, I don't know how they do it. God bless them. Number two con, it's kind of hard to do classical conversations if you travel a lot. We actually miss a lot of community days because we're traveling a lot, and it can really affect that community aspect of classical conversations. Now, technically, you could still do classical conversations without the community aspect because you can always go by the books. Now, this is where if you're in Essentials and Challenge, I would love to hear from you to know if any of you travel and don't do that within a community, if you do Essentials and Challenge on your own, because we are a traveling family. We like to be kind of nomads, and so I'd love to know if it's a possibility to do those while traveling. But from what I can tell, it is very hard to travel while doing classical conversations. It's a little bit easier in the foundations level because, you just need to keep up with the memory work. And finally, the number three con to classical conversations is the cost. It actually costs money to be a part of community. And I have found that people either love classical conversations or hate classical conversations. Like, some people get mad about it. And I'm just like, woo, cool your jets, yo. I'm kind of middle ground. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with classical conversations. I love so many things about it, but I totally get why people don't enjoy it. And so cost is a big issue. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what the current cost is because we paid it at the beginning of the year and I totally forgot. But you are paying for the tutor. Normally it's at a church and they have to pay rent and you're paying for supplies. So it is costly. You have to buy the books, you have to buy the curriculum, the CDs. If you go to practicum, you're paying for your kids to go to camp. If you have an infant and they have childcare, you're paying for that. So there is a lot of cost to it, and a lot of people don't enjoy that aspect of it. But for us, it's actually been worth it because of the benefits of classical conversation. So you just really have to weigh the pros and cons. Will we always do the community part of it? I don't know. I do think that the community part is very important, especially if you go to a practicum. They're going to explain to you why the community part of it is important. But also, we want to travel and we have some travel goals. So there might be a season where we have to do classical conversations without the community. So overall, we are a fan. We do partake in it. But I totally get why some people don't enjoy it. Well, if you're watching this, probably because you're considering classical conversations. And so I hope that was helpful to kind of give you some different perspective. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, because you're going to be seeing more videos like this. We're going to be talking more about our curriculum, or go back and binge watch some of the other videos that we've done already. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.